Listen, right, if you are feeling unhappy right now in your job, grab a cup of tea, okay? It's not going to be a comfortable one because I'm going to talk to you like you are my sister, like you are my cousin. I have a cousin, I have a sister-in-law, and sometimes my mum is actually my daughter. Um, like literally unreal. So I'm going to talk to you whether you are, whether you could be my mum, my auntie, my sister, my cousin, my daughter. I'm going to give you some sisterly love right here if you are currently feeling unhappy in your job. Now, I've been getting messages from different people like family friends, friends that I've actually known for years, followers that I have never met before in my life. But as always, I am the go-to in my family when people need advice, okay? And you would never ring me if you just didn't want to know the truth, okay? That is the reality. So just know that from the beginning that I am always going to be brutally honest, very transparent, very direct, and I promise you I love you, and that is why I have to do it, okay? And I'm allowing you to love yourself because you do not deserve to bullshit yourself, okay? You cannot afford to tell yourself the lies that other people tell you, because if you are currently unhappy in your job, you need to know the truth and you need to know how to deal with it. Okay, first of all, think about the fact and be kind and accepting of the fact that I have no idea what you're unhappy with. So I have to come at this episode, whether you're going to be with me for 10, 15 minutes, these episodes of Listen When are going to be somewhere in the region of 10, maybe sometimes maximum 20 minutes. These were inspired by a book that I read. If you haven't listened to my other episodes, I have recently started this new series. So do catch up with the other Listen When episodes, because there might be a chapter in there that might be really helpful to you as well. But just as a shout out, because I love to give credit where credit's due, Dr. Julie Smith, it was her book called Open When that made me think of these mini episodes that I wanted to do myself with my own topics. Some of them cross over with what she talks about as well, like confidence and overwhelm and things like that. But these are my own experiences, and these are questions that I often get asked either by myself or people that are in my life that they want help with. So this is the episode of Listen When you are unhappy in your job, in your career, in your business. So let's just, firstly, what I've seen. I've had messages from people saying, I've just moved to a new job and it's not really what I thought it was going to be. It's not the environment I wanted it to be, and I'm looking for something better. Sister, you're going to be stuck in that cycle for the rest of your life, okay? You've just only recently moved to that job, and of course, at interview stage, everyone's going to put their best foot forward and they're going to, try and win you over. You're selling yourself too, remember? And you wanted that job for a reason. And at the beginning, most of the reasons are typically down to money, okay? Because why do we leave the house in the first place? Not because you started a company that I really want to work for. You started a company, you're paying, it sounds like a good job, and I need the money. Let's face it, like, just don't kid yourself that you're there for like the love of it. Like, at the end of the day, you need money, and you found a company that you semi got on well with at interview stage, and that is your buying experience. Like, the only time the system is crazy, right? The only time you get to really experience what that company is about is whether or not you have 1, 2, 3, or 4 interviews at that stage. But you never really truly get to experience it until you fully move in. And that's even crazier when you buy a house, right? If you've never bought a house before, you just basically see a bunch of pictures of it online. You go and see it once, maybe twice if it hasn't already sold, but sometimes you usually put an offer down after the first time you see it. You've not slept in the house. You've not made toast in the morning. You've not come down and put the bins out and met the neighbours. You literally buy a 3, 4, 500,000 pound house without ever having lived in it, okay? And once you move in, you can't then call someone else and be like, do you know what? It's not exactly the dream home I wanted. I just want to move. You know that you're probably going to be there for a few years, realistically, until you can probably move again, okay? Because it's very expensive to move. Now, I want you to apply that attitude to your job as well. I want you to apply the attitude that moving is expensive, and not expensive in money, but expensive in your time, knowledge, and experience. It is expensive, and your career cannot afford for you to make these quick decisions if they are not the right decisions. I'm not saying moving, because by the way, okay, let me just tell you now, I've had over like 11 jobs in my life. I have not stayed in any place for any longer than like 2-3 years. I have moved a lot. And back in my day when I was applying for jobs, that could have been deemed as like job hopping, but absolutely not. I've got my pros and cons for moving and not moving, and why that's massively accelerated my career for having moved. So please note that I am absolutely an advocate for you to move if you don't like your business, if you don't like your job, if you don't like what you're doing. However, let's just be clear what your attitude to that movement is, and how often and when is it a good time to move. Okay. Firstly, when I do something, I endeavor to always do it well, to the best of my ability. I do not sign up to something and just dabble in it and then move just to look for something better. I sign up to something and deliver. So I have been unhappy in many, many jobs. I'll tell you that straight. It's usually, a bad boss, okay? We've all had a bad boss. There's always been a reason to want to leave, because either the money isn't good enough or the boss just is so aggravating. It's so overwhelming. So I do understand both stresses. I understand being in a job where you are really struggling for the money, or you're in a job where you're actually struggling with the boss. I get it, or the environment. However, you have been hired to do a job. You've not been hired to make friends. You've not been hired to go down the pub after work and enjoy the extracurricular activities that come with this job. You've not been hired to enjoy the facilities of that office environment. All of these things. By the way, I've just noticed my plant has fallen down, and I'm just going to fix it because it's really aggravating me as I see it in my video. So apologies about that. Back on track. Right. So also, do you like this new light I got myself? As you can see, if I turn it off, it's dark. But as you turn it on, I've got this like sunlight glow. I really like it. I hope you enjoy it. So you have not been hired, is what I would say to my cousin when she complains or has complained in the past about previous companies, like, like the environment, the culture, the team, the people. And I'm like, listen, darling, you've been hired and you are being paid not to absorb the culture and the atmosphere and the after work drinks with your colleagues. You've been hired to do a job. Now, when I move to the next job, I'm not going to say to that company, sorry, I still need to fix that plant. I'm so sorry. It is just, right. Sorry, I didn't realize I had like these ticks. Like, yeah, that's a new discovery. I did not realize I had that. But anyway, could not concentrate. So when you are, so as I say to my cousin or anyone else who would be struggling through a job that they're like, oh, I'm not enjoying the environment. I'm saying, but have you delivered? Because let's face it, honey, if I was paying you to do a job, before you can enjoy and like the culture and the extracurricular activities and demand for more work-life balance and more pleasures in your life during your work, like you're here to do a job, okay? Like I didn't like many places that I was working at, so I didn't want to feel like I didn't feel like I was in a happy place. However, what I threw my energy into was delivering in my job. I've often been in sales jobs, so been very highly, target driven, and that can be quite stressful. But there's no point me moving to the next position, to the next job, saying to my future employer, yeah, it wasn't quite working out there. And then I didn't hit my targets. I wasn't working hard. I wasn't actually delivering on the tasks that I needed to do. I just didn't like the environment. Like, don't get me wrong, we have to work somewhere that we feel happy. Everyone that works with me at Manuka Media on a freelance basis, I want them to feel happy, flexible, rewarded, appreciated. And if they don't, just come and talk to me. But at the end of the day, we've got to deliver for clients. We've got a job to deliver. And you applied for the job not as a cultural expert, and you didn't apply for the job as the office clown to entertain us. You applied. When you applied, you spoke about your skills, your strengths. You spoke about what you're good at. And that's what your focus should be in that company. So I do it for me. Think about it. So when I was in a job that I wasn't happy, I thought, okay, I'm not exactly happy where I am right now, but how can I earn and learn from this whilst I'm earning money, right? Because you're still getting paid, okay? But I knew that I had my eyes on moving. I knew that my plans were to move. I knew very quickly, whether I was there for 3 or 6 months, I knew that that wasn't going to be a long-term company for me. But it doesn't mean that within 2 weeks of being in that firm or 3 weeks within being, with being with that company, that I was suddenly going to start interviewing elsewhere. It doesn't actually reflect too well on your own. Forget what other people think, okay? Just for a second. I'm not talking about your CV looks like it's got gaps and your CV looks like you're jumping around. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about you and the progress that you're making. Because if you are moving before you've even made yourself proud, you are wasting your experience, you are wasting your time, and you are chasing that dopamine effect. I'm going to tell you straight, what you're doing is you're looking for reward and action later. Yeah, I know you are. I absolutely know. And if you're really honest with yourself, think about how you justify in your head, oh, I'm not in a great space, I'm not in a great environment, therefore I don't feel like I can work as hard, and they don't deserve me, they don't deserve my time. So you start convincing yourself that you shouldn't perform as well, you shouldn't try as much, because they are not giving you the pleasures that you demand, okay? Now, think about that and reframe it to benefit you. I'm not saying that you need to now work tirelessly for your boss because he's paying you to do so and you're their slave. You are there to do a job, and you are there to learn, to progress, and to make yourself proud. Think about moving to your next job with the intention that actually you've left that place a little bit better than when you first joined. That's what makes me proud. And I really hope you can hear that reframe, that I am not going to move. I will move. You absolutely are not going to see me here this time next year, or you're absolutely not going to see me here this time in 6 months. But I'm going to walk away with something, and I'm going to walk away with something that benefits me. Number one, the network. Who in this company can I mingle with? Who can I learn from? Who can I actually rub shoulders with? Because you just never know where they're going to end up next. They might end up moving. They might end up moving and calling you over. That's happened to me before, by the way. They might end up staying, changing the company around and calling you back 10 years from now because they remembered you. So think about earn or learn. You are earning whilst you're working there, but what else can you learn and what else can you earn that isn't actually pounds and pence, but you can earn from experience, from network, from knowledge. So number one is the network. Who within that company can I make pals with that could last a lifetime? Number two, what results can I deliver that I can actually take with me? Because the next company is going to be so lucky to have me because I was resilient, I had grit, and I had talent to be able to deliver these results, even under excruciating circumstances. And that actually ends up being a benefit. If I was able to deliver and develop myself in a toxic environment or in an environment that didn't really promote much, cultural benefits, like I still was able to work under pressure. That's where working under pressure comes from. How can you ever be good at working under pressure if you're constantly looking for a really fun, clappy company that constantly hypes you up and that, you never have any pressures? That's where working confidently under pressure comes from. So can I deliver results? Because those results become my experience, and those results become my case study that I can bring on to the next company. Number three, how can I learn what not to do? In many companies that I've been in, look at your boss and start analyzing your boss, your colleagues, the environment, the setup, the workflow, everything that is going on in that company that you hate. What can you learn? How can you absorb that information? Because you might end up being a boss one day, or you might end up going to a company that needs your resilience because you've been through, the company you work for might have a reputation. And then when you go and work for someone else, they might say, oh my God, you worked for them. How did you do it? And they think you're the hero because you worked there for 2, 3, 5 years. And they think, what did you do? Like, how did you cope? And you will have all those lessons of what to do and what not to do. So try and absorb that information as well. Number four, what knowledge do you actually learn from that company? So if you're in a field, let's say you're in engineering or you're in IT or you're anywhere in any sector, right? You're in a mortgage broker firm and you're unhappy there and you want to start your own mortgage broker business, you're not going to realistically do that within 6 months of experience, right? So what experience can you learn from your existing company and knowledge? What can you learn that you can take on to the next place? So if you are currently unhappy in your career, in your job, in your business, think about those points that I've just made and then add to that, what would you like it to look like? It's like looking for a relationship, right? We've all been in relationships where we thought this, this girl or guy was the person of our lives and we thought we were going to marry them. But actually when we break up, we realize, oh, okay, yeah, that's not exactly what I wanted. This is what I wanted. I wanted to go more towards this. Next time in a new relationship, I'm actually going to look for this instead of this. So you get to learn about yourself and you get to learn about what you like and what you don't like. And you can apply that as well to your career. Now, my next top tip is something that you can do very proactively. If you are spending the majority of your time with people you do not like and you are in the wrong room, then do two things. One, throw yourself into the actual project. So if you're in sales and you do not like the people that are around you in the environment, you are not doing enough sales calls. I am definitely going to guarantee that. Because if I was to check your phone record, if I was to check your KPIs, right, and you have got enough time to think about your colleagues, what they're saying, what they're gossiping about in the kitchen, you're not making enough sales calls. And that is the reality. That's exactly what I mean by throwing your energy and yourself into the project rather than listening to your colleagues chat shit in the background. So when I was in a sales job in London, and when I was in a sales job in Hitchin, like more local to me, and I was like on the phones all day, I didn't have time to feel sad or to feel left out or to feel neglected about what my colleagues were doing, what gossip was happening in the kitchen, whether they were organising after work drinks and I wasn't invited. I didn't want to be invited. I was like, I am working on my business. I'm working on my sales here. I'm meeting clients. So I loved speaking to clients, and there was a job I had once, right, which required me to do a lot of on-site visits, like actually driving to appointments. There was 2 or 3 roles that I did that required face-to-face sales, actually going out on meetings and not being on the phones all day. Those were my best days. So we were targeted on appointments, we were targeted on visits and things like that. And I was like, bring it on, because the more visits and the more appointments I do, the less of your face I see. And that was a blissful day. So in your job, if there is a way in which you can become more successful at doing the exact thing, this is the crux of what I was trying to say. Okay, if you dismissed it, here it is again. When I say to you, become successful at the very job you hate, the reason I say that is because by being successful at it, that's the very thing you're supposed to be enjoying. And the less of the things that you don't enjoy will you see. So the more I was successful at being on visit, being on site, going out there, speaking to my customers, taking them out to have lunch, taking them out for a coffee, going to their house to visit them, being on the phones with my clients, gave me the exhilaration and the excitement I needed in a job that I thought I hated, but it actually made me last 2-3 years longer because I was focused on what was really important, and that was delivering the deliverables. Instead of focusing on, oh, I hate the way my boss breathes, I hate the way he talks to me, I hate the way my team looks at me, I hate the gossip in the office. I barely got to see that if I was more successful. So the more successful I was becoming at my job, the less I would see the shit that was going on in the office. And that is something I don't miss. As I'm in my shed, as you can see, I love my own space, my own environment. I hate office politics. I hate the office environment when it's not supportive. But what I did like, what I didn't like about the office environment, going back to my original points, is the experience and the knowledge that I got from listening to my colleagues. So if I was in sales, my colleagues would often be the competitors in a positive way, as in we were all working towards the common goal. But if my colleagues were hitting target and I wasn't, that was a problem. So that's what I loved about being in a job I hated. So if you currently hate your job, if you currently hate your business, what can you do in your business to leave yourself? I'm not saying you're going to stay there forever, but make yourself proud. do what needs to get done in order to enjoy the aspects of your job that you're actually paid to do. And that's a double win. You get paid to do the job that you're meant to do. You're then successful at it. And because you're successful at it, you're not giving time and attention to the things that you do not like. Then you make a strategic plan of how you're going to move or progress or change things. Sometimes, especially if you're in a business, you can't constantly keep shutting. I mean, you can if you want. You're an entrepreneur. You can shut as many companies down as you like. But sometimes you're constantly chasing that perfect resolution. So that's my final note, my final message is stop chasing for that perfect job. Stop chasing for that perfect business. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is you focusing on the positives, making the best out of the situation that you're in, focusing on how you can develop yourself, focus on how you can be successful, focus on how you can entertain yourself through results and through action, rather than listening or watching or, picking holes in things that you cannot control. So that is my message to you. If you are currently unhappy in your job, if you're unhappy in your business, are you focusing on being the best version of yourself in that company? Or are you trying to change the company or find the perfect company with not one glitch to it? Because if you are doing the latter, you will be looking for a very, very, very long time, and you would have missed out on experience, knowledge, earning, networking. You would have missed out on all that just because you're chasing that perfect job, which in my opinion doesn't exist. Once again, thank you for spending this quality time with me, whether it's been, a quick 10-minute cup of tea or you've been with me to the very end. I really hope this has helped. And if it has, please tell me, give it, not because I need to know, but tell me how this has helped. Tell me what more you want to hear from. What other episodes do you think could really be valuable to you? Put it in the comments and share this episode with anyone, maybe your daughter, your son, your husband. Maybe someone needs to hear this, and this could be that 20-minute gift you give them to really, make that a reality. So thank you for coming back to watching more of the Money Honey podcast. And remember to catch up on the other episodes of Listen When.